Hey everyone, welcome back to Finance Daily. We are diving deep today into the 4-Hour Workweek
Oh, yeah.
by Tim Ferriss. It's
Classic.
kind of a classic, I think, in the personal finance and entrepreneurship
Well,
genre. And
sure.
if you haven't read it yet, you can find a link to the book with a special discount down in the episode description.
Definitely check it out.
So yeah, this book really challenges that traditional work till you die mentality. And it presents a blueprint for designing a lifestyle
Yeah,
where work becomes a choice, not an obligation.
absolutely.
I think one of the things that makes this book
Mm-hmm.
so compelling is that Ferriss isn't just some armchair theorist.
Right.
He actually lives this lifestyle. He runs successful businesses while, traveling the world.
Yeah, he's got the street cred to back it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not just talking the talk, he's walking the walk.
Totally.
So one of the key frameworks he introduces in the book is the Steele framework, which is a step-by-step guide to achieving this 4-hour workweek lifestyle. So
Break it down for us.
yeah, walk us through it. What does DEAL stand for, and how does it apply to our listeners,
Absolutely.
especially those of us in the finance world?
DEAL stands for definition,
Okay,
elimination, automation,
got it.
and liberation.
All right, so starting with D,
Yes.
definition. What are we defining here?
You're defining your ideal lifestyle.
Okay,
Plain and simple.
right,
It's not just about having a big bank account.
right.
It's about having the time and mobility to enjoy your wealth. So imagine waking up every day,
Yeah,
excited about the day ahead. What does that look like for you? For our finance-minded listeners, maybe it's traveling the world
yeah.
while managing your investments or finally launching that financial consulting business you've been dreaming of.
I love that aligning your financial goals with your lifestyle goal.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about making
Yeah.
money, but it's about...
It's about designing a life
Yeah.
you don't need to escape from.
Exactly. And Ferriss calls this lifestyle design, right?
Yes.
Not just making money, but making time for what matters.
100%. And he encourages us to dreamline,
Dreamline. Okay.
which is to set these audacious, even unrealistic goals that light a fire under us.
Right.
So think, scoring a meeting with Warren Buffett or landing a coveted role at a top hedge fund.
Yeah.
Even if those aren't your specific dreams, it's about pushing the boundaries
Yeah.
of what you think is possible.
I'm all about thinking big. I love that.
Yeah.
But how do we actually turn these dreams into reality?
That's the question.
Because, let's be honest. Most of us are pretty far from,
Right.
tangoing in Argentina while managing our portfolios.
Well, that's where E for elimination comes in.
Okay. Okay.
Ferriss argues that it's not about doing more.
Uh-huh.
It's about doing less of the right things.
So are we talking about, finally conquering that overflowing inbox or learning to say no
Yeah.
to those pointless meetings
Absolutely.
that seem to eat up our entire week?
100%. And for our finance folks, maybe it's cutting down on those tedious administrative tasks
Right.
that a virtual assistant could handle for
Yeah.
a fraction of the cost.
Makes sense.
Ferriss reminds us of the Pareto principle,
Oh, yeah. The 80-20 rule.
the 80-20 rule,
Love it.
where 80% of your results come from just 20% of your effort.
Yep.
So the key is to identify those crucial 20% and eliminate or delegate the rest.
That's a great point, and so relevant in the finance world because,
Yeah,
we're constantly bombarded with information and requests.
totally.
Think about it, listeners. What are your biggest time wasters?
Yeah, what are they?
What are those tasks that are truly essential to your success, and what can you offload or streamline?
Love it. Great question.
And once you've identified those time wasters,
Yes.
then A for automation comes into play.
Automation, that's right.
All right, so this is where we start building systems that work for us,
Yes.
not the other way around.
That's the key.
So it's about leveraging technology and outsourcing to free up our time and mental energy.
Absolutely. Ferriss tells this great story about A.J. Jacobs outsourcing tasks like research
Okay.
and errands to virtual assistants in India.
Yeah.
It might seem counterintuitive at first, but imagine the possibilities.
Right.
You could be focusing on high-level strategy while someone else is taking care of booking your flights or researching potential investments.
That's a game changer for anyone in finance.
It is.
Instead of getting bogged down in these tedious tasks,
Right.
you could be using that time to analyze market trends,
Yes.
network with potential clients,
For sure.
or even, take a much-needed vacation.
Absolutely.
And that brings us to L for liberation,
Liberation.
the ultimate goal
The ultimate goal.
of the DEAL framework.
It is.
This is where it starts to feel like we're breaking free
Yes.
from those golden handcuffs, right?
Absolutely. It's about negotiating your freedom.
Yeah.
whether that's remote work,
Okay.
flexible hours, or even taking those mini retirements.
Okay, let's talk about those mini retirements, because I know that concept really resonates with a lot of people,
Yeah,
especially in the finance world,
for sure.
where it's so easy to get caught up in that work hard, play later mentality.
Yeah, you got to hustle.
You gotta hustle,
You got to grind.
climb the ladder, and then
one day
when you're 65,
you can finally enjoy life.
yeah, you finally retire to like
Right.
a beach in Florida.
Exactly.
But Vera's saying, no.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait until retirement to enjoy life.
Totally.
You can incorporate these mini retirements.
Yeah.
These extended breaks.
Yes.
Maybe a few weeks or even months where you can recharge travel,
Pursue passions.
Yes, and come back to work feeling refreshed and energized.
Exactly. And he argues that these mini retirements can be even more enriching than traditional retirement
Interesting.
because you're more likely to be active,
Yeah.
engaged, and open to new experiences.
They're not like,
Yeah.
burnt out and...
Not just sitting on the couch watching TV.
Yeah, exactly. You're not just like,
Yeah.
Jaded and over it.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, I'm going to take a month off, go explore Patagonia,
Yeah.
and then I'll come back and
come back refreshed.
yeah, and be refreshed and ready to
Re-energize.
hit it hard again.
Exactly.
I love that. And imagine the possibilities.
Yeah.
I mean, you could use these mini retirements to volunteer
Yes.
for a financial literacy program, mentor
Yeah.
aspiring entrepreneurs, or even just spend quality time with your family
Absolutely.
without the stress of work hanging over your head.
Totally.
Now, I know some of our listeners might be thinking, okay, this all sounds amazing, but how do I convince my boss to let me
Yeah. How do you actually do it?
work remotely or take extended breaks?
Yeah.
Especially if they're a bit, shall we say, old school
Right.
in their thinking.
Well, Ferriss has a strategy for that.
Oh, he does.
He calls it the hourglass strategy.
Okay, the hourglass strategy.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
it already.
And it's all about gradually shifting the power dynamic.
Okay, tell me more.
So instead of going in with a grand demand for unlimited freedom,
Right.
you start by proposing short periods of remote work,
Got it.
maybe just one afternoon a week,
Okay.
and you demonstrate your productivity,
Yeah.
show that you can be just as effective, if not more so, working remotely.
Right.
And then you gradually expand those periods
Mm.
until you achieve the level of freedom that you desire.
That's brilliant.
It is.
It takes the risk away from your boss.
Exactly.
And it gives them tangible proof that you can be trusted
Yes.
to manage your time and workload effectively.
100%.
Ferriss actually tells a great story about Dave,
Oh, yeah.
an HP employee who successfully negotiated a remote work arrangement
He did.
that allowed him to travel the world.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show that it is possible
It is.
to create this kind of freedom,
It's possibly
even within a large corporation.
Totally. And he emphasizes that clear communication and setting expectations are key to making this work. So for our finance listeners,
Yeah.
this could mean having a frank conversation with your manager about your desire for more flexibility and outlining a plan
Yeah.
that benefits both you and the company.
And who knows, maybe you'll inspire others in your workplace
Yes.
to seek out more freedom as well.
It's contagious.
That's the beauty of the 4-hour work week. It's not just about individual liberation.
Right.
It's about creating a movement
Yes.
toward a more balanced and
Absolutely.
fulfilling way of life.
I love it.
All right, so we've covered the deal framework,
Yes,
and it's clear that it offers a roadmap
it does.
for designing a life
It does.
where work becomes a choice, not an obligation.
Absolutely.
But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to touch on another key concept from the book
What's that?
that's particularly relevant to our finance-minded listeners.
Okay. I'm listening.
And that's the idea of relative income versus absolute income.
Yes.
Ferriss argues that relative income is the true measure of wealth,
It is, for sure.
at least for those who want to design their ideal lifestyle.
Right.
So can you break that down for our listeners?
Yeah, so absolute income is simply the total amount of money you earn.
Right.
But relative income is how much you earn per unit of time.
Got it.
So, for example, someone who earns $100,000 a year but works 80 hours a week
Yeah.
actually has a lower relative income than someone who earns $50,000
Right.
but only works 20 hours a week.
So it's not just about how much you earn. It's about
Right.
how you earn it
Yes,
and the freedom that comes with it.
exactly.
And Ferriss argues that for those who subscribe to this new rich philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
relative income is the true measure of wealth.
It is.
because it's about having both the money and the time
Yes.
to enjoy it.
And that's where things get really interesting for our finance folks, because when you start thinking in terms of relative income, it opens up all sorts of possibilities for building wealth in a way that also gives you the freedom to live the life you want.
So it could mean focusing on passive income streams through investments, building a business that can be automated and run remotely.
Absolutely.
Or even negotiating a part-time arrangement that allows you to pursue other passions.
For sure.
While still earning a comfortable living.
Totally.
So it's not about giving up on financial success.
Right.
It's about redefining
what
what that success looks like.
Redefining what success means.
And finding ways to achieve it on your own terms.
100%. It's about aligning your financial goals with your lifestyle goals.
I love that. And I think that's a perfect place to wrap up this first part of our deep dive into the 4-hour workweek.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to Finance Daily listeners. We're in the midst of our deep dive into the 4-hour workweek by Tim Ferriss.
Yes.
Exploring how to escape the rat race and design a life of freedom and wealth.
Absolutely.
And even more importantly, how to apply these principles to the world of finance.
Yeah.
Don't forget to check out the link in the episode description for a special discount on the book on Amazon.
Please do.
So we left off talking about relative income versus absolute income.
Yeah.
A concept that I think is especially relevant to our financially savvy listeners.
For sure. It's about having the financial resources and the time to enjoy life.
Right. It's not just about how much you earn.
Right.
It's about how much you earn relative to the time you spend working.
Exactly.
Ferriss calls those who embrace this mindset the new rich.
The new rich.
And I think a lot of us in the finance world are naturally drawn to this idea.
Absolutely.
So that leads us to another fascinating concept from the book.
Okay.
Which is the muse.
The muse.
Ferriss's term for a business that is designed to be automated.
Yes.
And scalable. Ideally generating income without requiring your constant attention.
Right. So you're talking about building a business that can essentially run itself.
Yeah, that sounds like the ultimate dream.
It is.
But also maybe a little daunting, especially for those of us who are used to the more traditional corporate world.
It can be. But Ferriss breaks it down into manageable steps.
Okay.
He advocates for starting small, testing your ideas before investing a lot of time or money.
Makes sense.
And for our finance-minded listeners, this could mean launching a financial education website, creating an online course on investing, or even developing a niche financial consulting service that you can offer remotely.
I love that, leveraging your financial expertise to create a business that works for you.
Yes.
Not the other way around.
100%. And with the rise of online platforms and digital marketing, it's easier than ever to reach a global audience and build a successful business from anywhere in the world.
So Ferriss provides a framework for doing just that.
He does.
From identifying a profitable niche to outsourcing operations to virtual assistants, he even suggests using platforms like eBay and Google AdWords to test product ideas and validate your market before going all in.
Right. Test, don't guess.
That's a smart approach. It's about mitigating risk and being strategic about how you invest your time and resources.
Oh, sure.
And speaking of risk, I think one of the biggest challenges for many aspiring entrepreneurs, especially those of us in the finance world, is overcoming fear. Fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of leaving the security of a stable job.
That's so true. Fear can be paralyzing.
Right.
But Ferriss offers a powerful tool for tackling it head on.
Okay, what's that?
Fear setting.
Fear setting. I like it.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
It's about defining your fears, confronting them head on, and developing strategies for overcoming them.
Okay.
So instead of letting fear hold you back, you actually define what the worst case scenario would be if you took that leap of faith.
Right.
And then you ask yourself, could I actually handle that?
Yeah.
What steps could I take to mitigate the risk or recover if things didn't go as planned?
That's brilliant. It takes the power away.
Yeah, it does.
From those vague, undefined fears, and turns them into concrete challenges that you can actually address.
Totally. And often when you break it down like that, you realize that those fears weren't as scary as you initially thought.
Yeah.
And even if things don't go exactly as planned, you'll have the skills and resources to bounce back.
I think that's such an important message for anyone.
It is.
Considering a career change or launching a business.
For sure.
It's okay to be afraid.
Yeah.
But don't let fear paralyze you.
Exactly. Define it, confront it, and develop a plan to overcome it.
And that leads us to another important point that Ferriss emphasizes.
What's that?
The difference between being busy and being productive.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of everyday tasks and feel like you're accomplishing a lot.
Right.
But are you actually moving the needle on the things that truly matter?
That's the question.
That's such a good point, and it's something I struggle with all the time.
Yeah, me too.
Especially in the finance world.
It's so easy to get caught up in the busyness.
Where it feels like there's always something urgent demanding our attention.
Always.
But as Ferriss points out, just because you're doing a lot doesn't mean you're doing the right things.
Exactly. He encourages us to cultivate selective ignorance.
Selective ignorance.
To be more intentional about the information we consume and the tasks we prioritize.
So it's about saying no to those time-wasting distractions.
Yes.
And focusing our energy on those high-impact activities.
Absolutely.
That actually move us closer to our goals.
100% for our finance listeners.
Yeah.
This could mean unsubscribing from those endless email newsletters.
Okay.
Turning off social media notifications during work hours, or delegating those routine tasks that can be handled by someone else.
And it could also mean being more strategic.
Yes.
About how you consume financial news and information.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's easy to get overwhelmed by the constant stream of data.
It's information overload.
But are you actually using that information?
Right, to make better investment decisions.
That's a great point. It's about being discerning and focusing on the information that's relevant.
Right.
To your specific goals and investment strategy.
And speaking of goals, one of the most powerful concepts in the 4-Hour Workweek is the idea of designing a life you don't need to escape from.
I love that.
It's not about working less.
Right.
It's about working smarter.
Yeah.
And creating a life that's aligned with your values and passions.
That's the key. And that's where those mini retirements we talked about earlier come into play.
Right.
It's about incorporating those extended breaks into your life, not just as a reward for hard work, but as a way to recharge, explore, and gain new perspectives.
So imagine using those mini retirements to travel the world, volunteer for a financial literacy program, or finally write that book on investing you've been dreaming of.
The possibilities are endless, and Ferriss argues that these mini retirements can actually make you more productive and engaged in your work when you return. That makes sense. When you're not constantly feeling burnt out and overwhelmed,
right,
you have more energy and creativity to bring to your work.
Exactly.
And you're more likely to be present and focused.
Yes.
Which ultimately leads to better results.
It's a win-win, and it goes back to that idea of relative income.
Right.
You're not just maximizing your financial returns, you're maximizing your life experience.
I love that. And it's a message that I think resonates with so many people today.
It does.
Especially in the finance world, where it's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of more.
More is not always better.
It's about stepping back and asking yourself, what kind of life do I want to live?
Yeah, what do you want?
And how can I use my financial resources and expertise to create that life?
Great questions.
It's a powerful question, and the 4-Hour Workweek offers a roadmap for answering it.
It does, and it's not just a roadmap for entrepreneurs or those seeking early retirement. It's a roadmap for anyone who wants to design a life that's more aligned with their values and aspirations.
Now, I know some of our listeners might be thinking,
yeah,
okay, this all sounds great.
Right.
But I have a family. I have responsibilities. How can I possibly take extended breaks or travel the world?
That's a valid concern, but Ferriss addresses it head on.
Okay.
Arguing that travel can actually be a fantastic way to bond with family and create lasting memories. And he provides practical advice for those who want to travel with children or spouses. From finding affordable accommodations to incorporating educational experiences into your itinerary.
So it's about being creative and finding solutions that work for your individual situation.
Exactly. And it's about recognizing that even short trips or weekend getaways can have a positive impact on your life, broadening your perspective and recharging your batteries.
And it's not just about travel.
Right.
It's about finding ways to incorporate more joy, adventure, and purpose into your everyday life.
Absolutely.
So whether it's learning a new skill, volunteering in your community, or simply spending more quality time with loved ones, it's about creating a life that's rich with experiences that truly matter to you.
And that brings us to another crucial aspect of designing a fulfilling life, one that Ferriss doesn't shy away from.
Okay.
Finding meaning and purpose outside of work.
This is something that a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
Especially when They're so used to defining themselves by their job title or their career achievements.
It's true. And Ferriss talks about the potential for an existential vacuum.
Existential vacuum.
When you suddenly have more free time and you're not sure what to do with it.
Right.
It's like you've achieved this freedom you've been striving for, and then you're hit with this wave of emptiness.
It can be unsettling, for sure.
It can.
But Ferriss emphasizes that this is a normal part of the process.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to rediscover yourself.
Yes.
To explore your passions and to redefine what truly gives your life meaning.
He suggests trying new things, experimenting with different hobbies, volunteering your time for a cause you care about, connecting with others who share your interests.
He even talks about the importance of service.
Yes.
Of finding ways to contribute to something larger than yourself.
Right.
And I think that's such an important message.
It is.
Especially in today's world where it's so easy to get caught up in our own little bubbles.
Absolutely. And for our finance-minded listeners, this could mean using your financial expertise to mentor aspiring entrepreneurs, volunteer for a financial literacy program, or even start a charitable foundation that aligns with your values.
I love that using your skills and resources to make a positive impact on the world around you.
Exactly. And that's what the 4-Hour Workweek is all about, isn't it?
It is.
It's not just about escaping the rat race. It's about designing a life that's both meaningful and fulfilling.
It's about creating a life that's an adventure, not a chore.
Exactly. And that's a goal worth striving for.
All right, so we're back.
Yeah.
And I got to say, this book, The 4-Hour Workweek, it's really got me thinking differently about work and life.
It's a game changer for sure.
You know, it's not just about working less.
Right.
It's about designing a life where work becomes a source of fulfillment.
Totally.
Not a burden.
Absolutely.
So before we sign off, I want to recap some of the key takeaways from our deep dive that really resonated with me and hopefully with you, our listeners.
Sounds good.
I think first off, the deal framework.
Yeah.
It's such a simple yet powerful tool.
It is.
For taking control of your life and your career.
Absolutely.
Defining your ideal lifestyle. Eliminating distractions. Automating tasks. And ultimately liberating yourself from the constraints of a traditional 9-to-5.
Totally.
And I think for our finance folks, you know, this framework can be especially helpful.
For sure.
Think about it. You could be using those elimination and automation strategies to streamline your investment research.
Yeah.
Delegate administrative tasks, or even build a business that generates passive income.
Absolutely.
While you're off exploring the world.
A dream.
Right? And speaking of exploring the world, those mini retirements.
Oh, yeah.
What a game changer.
Game changer.
Who says you have to wait till you're 65 to enjoy extended travel?
Right.
Or pursue your passions?
Exactly.
I love how Ferriss encourages us to sprinkle those mini retirements throughout our lives.
Yeah.
You know, use them to recharge, gain new perspectives, and come back to work feeling refreshed and inspired.
It's like hitting the reset button.
Exactly. And it's not just about travel.
Right.
You know, those mini retirements could be anything that lights you up.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's finally writing that financial literacy book, launching a mentorship program for young entrepreneurs, or simply spending more quality time with your family.
Yeah.
Without the stress of work hanging over your head.
Love it.
It's about creating a life where work and play are seamlessly integrated.
Yes.
Where you're not constantly yearning for that elusive someday. When you can finally enjoy your life.
I feel that.
And then another key takeaway, the idea of relative income versus absolute income.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
You know, it's not just about how much money you make.
Right.
It's about how much freedom you have to enjoy that money.
Totally. And for our listeners who are building their careers in finance, this could mean negotiating for more flexible work arrangements, exploring remote work options, or even considering a career shift that allows for more time freedom and flexibility.
Aligning your financial goals with your lifestyle goals.
Absolutely.
Creating a life where work doesn't feel like a sacrifice, but rather an expression of who you are and what you value.
Love that.
And one more thing I wanted to highlight, the idea of fear setting.
Fear setting, yes.
So often, fear holds us back from pursuing our dreams.
It does.
Whether it's launching a business, negotiating for a raise, or simply asking for what we want.
It's that voice in your head.
Exactly. And fear setting is such a powerful tool for overcoming that paralysis.
It is.
You know, instead of letting fear control you, you define it, you confront it.
Yeah.
And you develop a plan to mitigate the risks.
It's about taking action, not letting fear paralyze you.
And I think this is especially relevant for our listeners who are navigating the often volatile world of finance.
For sure.
Taking calculated risks is part of the game.
Absolutely.
But it's important to do so with a clear head.
Yes.
And a solid plan.
Couldn't agree more.
And finally, I want to emphasize the importance of finding meaning and purpose outside of work.
That's huge.
I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in the daily grind.
It is.
But it's crucial to cultivate passions and interests that bring you joy and fulfillment.
It's about creating a life that's rich with experiences that truly matter to you.
Beautifully said. I think that's the perfect note to end on.
Yeah.
The 4-Hour Workweek isn't just a blueprint for escaping the rat race.
Right.
It's an invitation to design a life that's truly your own.
Absolutely.
A life that's filled with purpose, passion, and adventure.
I love it.
So listeners, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a challenge.
Okay.
What's one small step you can take today to start moving towards your own 4-hour workweek lifestyle?
Yeah, what's that one thing?
Maybe it's finally scheduling that meeting with your boss to discuss flexible work arrangements. Or maybe it's setting aside 30 minutes to define your ideal day or brainstorm a side hustle idea.
Could be.
Or maybe it's simply making a commitment to spend more time doing something you love.
Yeah.
Something that brings you joy and recharges your batteries.
Absolutely.
Whatever it is, take that step. Because as Tim Ferriss reminds us, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Love it.
And remember, we're here to support you on that journey. So be sure to leave a comment below.
Yes.
And let us know what steps you're taking. We'd love to hear from you.
Please do.
And if you haven't already, be sure to check out the link to the 4-Hour Workweek in the episode description.
Definitely.
We've got a special discount for our listeners.
Yes, we do.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Finance Daily for more insightful deep dives.
Yes.
Into the world of personal finance, entrepreneurship, and designing a life you love.
Thanks for listening.
We'll catch you in the next episode.